Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another video. This is a paid request for Bobby. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, movie review, re-review, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour, or full playthrough, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. Do have a Cash App as well. Links are down below in info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And this is for The Green Slime from 1968, which I was pretty happy when I got this request in, because not only for the generosity, Bobby's always been very generous, great generosity from him, but I was wanting to watch this again because this is a nostalgic movie for me. This is a movie that I do remember watching quite a few times when I was a kid. I don't know how I first came across it. It might have been, funny enough, my aunt. She would send the family stuff she would tape. And does seem like the type of film she would usually tape, but maybe she thought, oh, it's PG and it's a monster movie. But for PG, I mean, there's some violence in there. There's people being electrocuted, one guy just thrown off, and when he lands is a blood spraying onto the ground, dead bodies where you see a little bit of blood and stuff. So a guy says bitch, or at least the word bitch. Doesn't call someone a bitch, but so I mean, but in the 60s, you could do away with a bit for PG, it seems. Those were the days. But The Green Slime, it's nowadays known as one of the first movies to be a Mystery Science Theater 3000, because I think they had done a pilot, and then this is the film they had talked about. I believe so. It has a very low rating. I don't think it's that. Okay, it's a B movie where if you look at the special effects, they're pretty cheap. The miniatures. But I enjoy them in a way I would enjoy an old Godzilla movie. If I watch an old Godzilla film, I know that the suits, they're not state of the art. If I watch, Megalon or the Spog monster, they're just guys in suits. I know that. And then you can tell that the cities, and you can tell the miniatures are miniatures. If you're not into that, if you're not at all, how do I put it, tolerable of that kind of miniature work, but I would say if you like stuff of Godzilla, this one fits in that realm. It does. And funny enough, the director of this film would go on to direct Battle Royale. Yes, the Battle Royale. Kids killing each other on the island. Yep. So, from the director of Battle Royale, The Green Slime. But it is a very nostalgic film, so you could say that my thoughts are much more nicer because of that, but fuck it. If it is, I don't care, because I enjoy this film. I do. I like this film as a B movie. I do. I think the monsters, I like the design. I know they're cheap looking, but I like the design. I like the sound effects used. I like the red eyes, and sometimes they're blinking. The theme song is killer. I mean, the theme song is fantastic. Green Slime. Ba-doo-doo, ba-doo, ba-doo. It's a very catchy, groovy tune. Some of the actors I do like. I like Robert Horton as the lead. He was famous for being on this TV show called Wagon Train. And I like him because he was a strong, capable leader. He actually made sense. He was trying to make the right decisions, but then other people would screw up. But he was a good take charge. Like, this is the guy you would want to lead your crew. A little bit of a Captain Kirk flavor to him. Richard Jaeckel, I liked him as an actor. He was in, I think he was in King of the Kickboxers. I know he was in Grizzly, which is another film I enjoy. He was in other B movies throughout the years. Richard Jaeckel used to be friends with Robert Horton's character, but then they got split apart because of a mission that had gone wrong. What's interesting about the film is that the film was shot in Japan. Director, crew, they were Japanese, but the cast is all either American, or you have an Italian lady, I can't pronounce her name. And it's interesting how it was a film that was made in Japan, but nobody from Japan is in the movie. Or if they were, it was a bunch of white people that they got to put it. It's again interesting. You figure they would at least put maybe one or two or three, Asian, Japanese people in there. But I guess maybe they felt this would try to bring them into the Western market, and see what we can do and how we can make it, and then get more opportunities. Maybe that was their thought, but I don't know if this film really did anything for them. It was mocked and ridiculed by critics, but I thought it was a fun time for what it is. Yes, the miniatures are not convincing. There's an asteroid coming to Earth, and the asteroid looks like, I don't know, if this did ever happen, but imagine a beach ball somehow had rust over it. Maybe something like that or something. But what's funny is that the initial plot is Armageddon. It really is. An asteroid is coming to Earth, so we have to get people over there to drill into the asteroid and plant bombs to blow it up before it gets to the Earth. And then you have this friction between two guys, as they're Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck. It's Robert Horton and Richard Jaeckel. In this case, Robert Horton is sent off to the space station called Gamma 3, where he's going to meet Richard Jaeckel. They have a little bit of history together. Richard Jaeckel is with the girl who used to be with Robert Horton. Again, Robert Horton and Richard Jaeckel also, there was some mission back in the day where Richard Jaeckel risked multiple people to save one person, but it didn't work out, and a lot of people died, and Robert Horton holds him responsible for that. And then them and the team go to the asteroid, they plant the bombs, they drill in, like Armageddon. It's funny, it's fucking Armageddon. While there, one of the doctor that goes along finds this green slime, which I like the effect that's breathing like it's a pair of lungs with its own life. I like the Robert Horton, he sees the doctor, look what I got. And Robert just takes it and fucking smashes it. It's like, you can't bring it on board. If it could, almost as if he was going to say, now fuck off. And, I mean, is the three-way love story, love triangle between Robert Horton, Richard Jaeckel, and then this girl who's kind of the head nurse on the space station, is it the most interesting thing? No. But I don't think it takes too long. It doesn't take too much time out of the proceedings. Are there mistakes? Yes, this is 1968, so they're on the asteroid. Robert Horton goes into the ship and then gets to control and flips his face mask, which I don't even think he shut the door to the ship, the shuttle, so he just still, even putting the face mask up, you're still in space. You're still in space, so there's no air. Because I don't even think he closed the fucking door to the rocket they came in on. Plus, I don't even know why he needed to lift the face mask. He could still talk and still be able to understand him with the helmet on. Or at least nowadays, I mean, well, you'd have something in the suit to be able to communicate. But I guess with sci-fi films in the 50s and 60s, I'm more lenient on the signs being iffy because it just seems as if that's typical. Like every sci-fi film in the 50s and 60s are going to have very story, very off the wall science. I mean, even the most famous ones. I mean, there's stuff you pick apart and ridicule about. Well, that's not realistic. That's not real. But I guess you just assume it with a film like The Green Slime and a film from the '60s. I don't know. Unless maybe your 2001: A Space Odyssey. But not every film is like that. But I do think I like some of the actors. I like the B-movie charm. Like I said, the theme song is very energetic. Yeah, it really gets you into a groovy mood, to use a phrase from back in the day. And then when the shit hits the fan, it goes. It doesn't stop till the end. There's contamination. A guy gets electrocuted. They wonder what's going on. They find dead bodies with scorch marks. And there's a creature, and it's got the red eye and the tentacles. And again, I think the sound they make is unique. And I can't replicate it, but I liked it. Again, there's some surprising violence. People get strangled and fried, or pushed aside and electrocuted, or thrown off a balcony and fall to their death, and blood sprays on the ground, and then pretty much it becomes, I don't kind of like almost like I don't know if I want to say siege movie, but much like Aliens or something else, where they're in one location, they have moved from place to place while these things are now they're multiplying, and if you shoot them, their blood can create more of them, so more and more of them are made, and then they're trying to get more and more backed into a corner, or one gets into the ward with all the patients, and they get the creature out. I like that Robert Horton at one point just throws his helmet at the thing, because why not? At least it's something. At one point they have to lead the creatures with light. I know some got mad because they didn't like that this film took itself seriously. I kind of like that. Could it work if you're winking at the audience every 5 minutes? Sure. But I kind of appreciate taking it seriously, because it just something about that makes it more fun to me. Just makes it more endearing. I don't know how else to put it. And then some of the bits, for example, I like that at one point each of our main characters takes the laser gun and literally uses it as a spear to jam into one of these creatures. There's even a bit later on where Richard Jaeckel's with these men and they're outside the ship, obviously being flown around by wires, but flown around and shooting the creatures. For some reason, it reminded me a little bit of when Picard and Worf fought the Borg in Star Trek First Contact. Maybe because they're on the outer realms of the ship, and you have your heroes in spacesuits and laser guns, ready for someone to say, assimilate this. I guess there's another movie kind of remind me of Star Trek First Contact. Them back into a corner more and more while the Borg keeps coming and will never stop, just like the green slime creatures. Spoilers. Interesting that Richard Jaeckel is the guy that keeps messing up. I think they did that on purpose, because they mentioned how back in the day he messed up, but he thought he was doing the right thing. And he feels like he wants to do it, but he just keeps messing up. He agrees with the doctor to try to capture it, while Robert Horton's like, no, that's stupid. But then they try, and some people get killed, and you see Richard Jaeckel's face. Or there's a point where the doctor stupidly gets locked when they've trapped the creatures, and Richard Jaeckel tries to open it, and Peter. He wouldn't say Peter Horton, that's a different. Robert Horton has the gun on him saying, no, you're not. Because he's right, he's going to risk the safety of the station. And lo and behold, Richard Jaeckel does it. The doctor's dead anyway, and they risk the safety of the station. And there's even a point where the lead character punches Richard Jaeckel in the face, and you're like, yes, he deserved it. But then he does do one right thing. He does save the lead character. They try to get to this switch so that to blow up the station, because if it lands on Earth, these things could multiply and things would go really up the shitty creek without a paddle. And Richard Jaeckel saves him, and they get the switch hit, but Richard Jaeckel gets electrocuted, dies from one of the creatures. And the lead gets the body, Richard Jaeckel, they jettison out and they get to safety while the ship blows up. And again, like I said, the special effects you can make fun of and you'd have a right to. They do look cheap, and it's not a grade A material. As I said, it's not. It's funny that 2001 Space Odyssey, I think, came out like I forget what year, either around this time or a year later. It's a world of difference with special effects, but like I said, I think that's the charm of it. That's the fun and charm of it. If you're not into it, you're not going to be into this type of thing. But if you are, some people may find it a bit boring, at least the first half, because it does take a bit for the green slime creatures to occur, to come onto the screen. And it's 1968, so if you're expecting, wall-to-wall action, films were not really made in that style of hardcore action. I mean, if this was made in 1988, it'd be a different matter. It's 1968, so you're not going to get a lot of big blood gore stuff, unless you're Herschel Gordon Lewis. You're not going to get intense, crazy action scenes of choreography. So I accept the limitations of the time and what they're able to get away with, which they were still able to get away with a little bit with PG rating. And I'm like, I don't think this was a 4 points on the IMDb. I don't think it's that bad. I can't look right now because my internet is not working, because on the side note, we had a storm. And the storm, from what I understand, hit one of the towers, so I do have videos uploaded, so I could go on my phone and just publish them, go from unlisted to published, so I at least have a couple days worth I could do that, so just take time. But obviously by the time you see this, that has fixed itself. But otherwise I will look right now, and my phone is being charged, so I can't look down there. But so I don't know what the exact rating of this film, but I don't think it's that bad. Like I said, you may say it's nostalgia talking, you may be right about that, but yeah, I like the look of the creatures. I like the design of the creatures. I like the two lead actors, especially Robert Horton. The music is very weird and quirky. The theme song will just stuck to your head, but to be a good way. It's a short film, 90 minutes long. There's no sequel bait ending, no stupid ass bullshit ending. Your hero, does the right thing, saves the day. You're in and out 90 minutes, and it's a fun time. Not a flawless masterpiece or anything, but it's a fun time. At the end, if you're into these B-movie creature feature stuff. Like I said, you may not like it as much as I do because of the love triangle thing with the two leads and the girl. It's not the most... It's the least... Funny enough, I just remember this. There's another cut of the film that takes that stuff out, and it's like 77 minutes long. I've never found that cut, so I don't know where that cut was released. Because again, this is 90 minutes. Apparently there's one that was 77 minutes long. They took that out. I'd be curious to give that a look to see, how it is. And maybe if you find that, maybe that's the one to watch. Because it would definitely be a faster paced film. I mean, it didn't bother me as much, but it may bother you more than it did me. And yet, some of the miniatures, they could look a bit more convincing. But let's say, I think if you're into Godzilla type of stuff from back in the day, it's worth a look. And again, it's definitely interesting to see where this director, where he came from. To go from this to Battle Royale is a hell of a difference, but there you go. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. It was fun to revisit this. I think there was a Blu-ray, but it was like, I think one of those Warner archives, so there's nothing on it. Which is too bad. Yeah, I'd be curious to hear about the making of this film and all that, but yeah. With that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.